information for tonight headlines. We have arrival of international observers in Djibouti. For the international scene, 65 billion CFA franc from the African Development Bank to develop technology startups. Welcome to our newsroom. The statement of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and the Ministry of Interior, following the invitations of the government of the Republic of Djibouti, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and the Ministry of Interior announced the arrival today of the observation missions of the African Union, the League of Arab States, the OIC, and the IGAD within the framework of the legislative election scheduled for 24 February 2023. The mandate of these missions is the independent, impartial, and objective observations of the February 24, 2023 election. All arrangements have been made by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and the Ministry of Interior to welcome and facilitate the deployment of observers in the region and the Djibouti city. The Minister of Interior, Said Nuh Hassan, received this afternoon the first group of the observers from international observers of the international bodies for the supervision of the legislative election of February 24. Arrived at the cabinet of the Minister of Interior, welcomed by the members of these observer missions mandated respectively and by the Arab League and the OIC. Thus, within the ministerial cabinet was held a meeting of first consultation and contact between the two parties, composed of dozens members of the mission will reside in Djibouti until the proclamations of results at the end of the day of the legislative canals. Still, during this afternoon, the members of the observer mission is mandated by the Arab League and the and the OIC went to the headquarters of the Djiboutian Constitutional Council. Upon their arrival at the site, the observers were received by the President of the Constitutional Council of Djibouti, Mr. This was followed by a meeting of first contact between the international observers and the President of the Constitutional Council is in the presence of the representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Gele Idris, and Mr. Ifrah Ali of the Ministry of Interior. The observer made the first contact because the Ministry of Interior is the institution in charge of the organizations of election in the Republic of Djibouti and proclaimed the results provisional, while the Constitutional Council of Djibouti validated or not this result. In thus about two institutions playing in the elections that these observers will have to supervise. Observers will be brought to supervise. The chairman, the president of the Independent National Election Commission, Mr. Bahnan Ali Medal, visited the Obok and Tajura regions. President Bahnan was warmly welcomed by the prefect of the Obok, Abdul Malik Muhammad Benoita, and the prefect of Tajura regions, as well as the members of the Seni in Obok and Tajura. The two prefects of the region welcomed the Seni chairmen to their regions, namely Obok and Tajura, the Seni chairman Bahnan Ali Medal, and the two prefects of the northern regions discussed together the logistical and material means put in place for the proper conduct of the February 24 polls. The Seni chairman, accompanied by the two prefects of the region, visited the various offices of the withdrawal of withdrawal of the voters' card, the elections offices, and the Seni offices in the region. The card withdrawal are taking place in the good conditions. Hassan Dabale and Abdul Malik Muhammad Benoita informed the president of the Seni of the voting offices and the number of registered voters in each office. as part of the inspection tower in the different districts of the capital and the prefectures of the region. The Vice President of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mr. Muhammad Ali Muhammad, accompanied by an important delegation composed of members of the Executive Secretariat SENI, visited this morning the region of Ali Sabih. The Vice President of SENI and his close collaborators arrived early in Ali Sabih, where they were received by the by the Prefect of the region, Musa Adam Migane, in the presence of the Vice President of SENI, Mr. Jama Ilmi Jabe, as well as members of the local SENI. And on this occasion, the Prefect of Al Sabih explained this to the SENI delegation, the progress of the preparations for the smooth running of the legislative elections of February 24, 2023, including the arrangements for the distribution of voter cards at the voters' card at the level of the chief towns, but also in the two sub-prefectures of the regions, namely Ali Adde and Holhol, as well as in the rural areas of the regions, thanks to mobile team that travels to each locality of the regions. Then the SENI delegation observed the electoral list posted in the front of the prefectures visited of the various, and in the region of Dakhil, they were welcomed by the prefect of Dakhil, Adandrar Musa. Now to Turkey, where he will come from the testimony of the students, to which the Embassy of Djibouti in Turkey went to their rescue from the first hours. Despite a power cut, the embassy has explored all the options available to it to help the students, but also the diaspora. The embassy has initiated the establishment of a solidarity network within the Djiboutian community to help students who were left homeless after Monday's earthquake. Different accounts have been collected, including the president of the Students' Association based in Istanbul. In this disaster that struck the brotherly countries of Turkey, the Djiboutian government has taken all necessary means to help students far from their parents and family, but also the diaspora. Those who lost their homes were housed in the hotels, all taken care of by the Embassy of Djibouti in Turkey. The Minister of Interior, Said Nuh Hassan, sponsored today the ceremony to celebrate the 45th anniversary of the National Offices of Assistance to Refugee and Disaster Victims, ONAHSA, which took place at the headquarters of ONAHSA, located at PICA 13. A ceremony rich in colors that was marked by cultural activities, folk songs and dances performed on site by an artistic group. 45 years an existence of maturity for these governmental bodies placed under the supervision of the Ministry of Interior. Founded in 1978, ONAHSA is the agency that personified the deep humanity and especially the charitable and benevolent propensity of the Djiboutian government in favor of the displaced and disaster-stricken population. The personal commitment of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, in favor of the refugee has been successful and welcomed by the international community. The Chargé d'Affaires of the German Embassy and the IGAD representatives said they were happy to continue.
In the German language, there is the word bittersweet. It describes when something beautiful, good, is accompanied by a certain sadness and pensiveness. The occasion of today's event is joyful, 45 years honors and the foundation of the Center for Refugees. I also speak on behalf of Ambassador Fuller, who is in Berlin at the moment, when I say that Germany looks with particular pride at a project like this. KfW implements projects worldwide with a great deal of experience and high quality, the purpose of which is to make something more positive and better.
Uh, Colleagues, studies have shown in IGAD region that our region is the source and transit and also destination for migrant and refugees in the region. It is also the region with the highest number of refugees and also the highest host of refugee in our region. Djibouti, as one of the region of IGAD, is also hosting a number of refugees through its open door policy, for which IGAD is very much grateful. However, in the course of time, the number of refugees that are following in our region are very much increasing and posing some social, economic challenges in terms of providing basic services like education, health facilities, sanitation facilities in the different refugee hosting areas, which necessitate support on those refugee hosting areas.
The WFP and UNHCR representatives emphasized that the commendable actions of ONAHSA to ensure food, but also education, health, and learning of future education, and future learning of future jobs to children and youth living in refugee villages. For his part, the Minister of Interior, Said Nur Hassan, said that our country is shown today as a country, as a model, is of an example in the success of the global action framework for refugee. At the end of the ceremony, the Minister of Interior, Said Nur Hassan, and the officials laid the foundation stone of the Orientation and Information Center for Refugees. The construction of the center is entirely financed by the government of the Republic of Germany and will provide orientation for refugees and asylum seekers on the registration procedure. The Executive Secretary Hussein Hassan Darar thanked the government of the Republic of Germany for the constant support to refugee and disaster victims living in refugee in Djibouti. This Tuesday morning, in the presence of the Minister of Youth and Culture, Hibo Momin Assowe, took place the inauguration of the new Community Development Center of Ingila, completely rebuilt on state funding. On her arrival, the Minister of Youth, Dr. Hibo Momin Assowe, was warmly welcomed by the population of these cosmopolitan neighborhoods of the commune of Bulaus were present on the occasions of the inauguration of this new CDC, which has benefited from a complete reconstructions and extensions of our 2 floors and a re-equipment in accordance with the cultural activities and social integrations. In addition to the Minister of Youth and Culture, Hibo Momin Assowe, the parliamentarian Hussein Abdul Qadir, the prefect of the 1st district, the president of the commune of Bulaus, the local elected officials, the elders, the director of the elementary school, and women, member of the community council, secretary of the ministry, all officials, after the traditional cutting of the ribbons, guided towers of the premises of the structure and the presentations on the history of the platform for its first foundation to its reconstruction. There were a series of reactions from the notable districts. For her part, the Minister of Youth and Culture, Hibo Mumin Asowe, surrounded by her close collaborators, thanked the inhabitants of Ingela for the warm welcomes and urged young people and all users to take care of this jewel and to use it wisely. On the occasions of the International Mother Tongue Day of independent research of the Horn of Africa in collaboration with the National Horn of Africa Agency and the National Agency for the Promotions of the Cultures organized this morning in the conference room of the archives and the National Library a day of studies and reflections dedicated to the national languages impacted since the beginning of the mother tongue of the colonizer, as it is the case in the major part of the African countries. The mother tongue is the Djiboutian, otherwise known as Afar, Somali, and Djiboutian Arabic, have undergone significant transformations in the writing and spoken words in general every year since 2000. The Republic of Djibouti, through the Ministry in charge of Culture, is in charge of celebrate the International Day of Mother Tongue and to promote linguistic and cultural diversity and to recall the importance of multilingualism in the Djiboutian society. The main objective of such an enterprise is to strengthen cooperation to offer to all a quality education and many other factors which plays a primary role in the promotions of cultures of a country. On Monday, 20 February 2023, the Ubuki Association, which works for the well-being of Obok women, organized in the conference room of the Regional Council of Obok, the ceremony of launching of the project entitled Formalization and Support of Vulnerable Women and Girls in the Economic and Social Empowerment This project is funded by the International Organization of the Francophonie within the framework of the Fund of Francophonie with else to the tune of 53,600 euro or about 10 million Djibouti franc. This ceremony was attended by the prefect of the region, Abdul Malik Mohammed Benoita, the president of the regional council, the representative of the international organization, and the representative of the Francophonie, Mr. Lionel Igo, and the mediators, traditional religious leaders, and the officials of the deconcentrated services of the state, representative of the civil society, and about 100 women beneficiaries of the project. The objective of this project is to contribute to the formalization and economic empowerment of vulnerable women and girls through their integrations in the use of the new digital technology. For his part, Lionel Igo, representative of the International Organization of the Francophonie, stressed that this to materialize the values of solidarity of the Francophonie to support the empowerment of women that this fund has been set up. For the international scene in Africa, 65 billion CFA franc from the African Development Bank to develop a startup technology. The African Development Bank has allocated 65 billion CFA franc in the Tide Africa Fund to develop technology startups in Africa. And Tide Africa Fund is an equity investment to support the growth of innovative startups in Africa, where the aims of supporting of the development of startups operating in the market in the pre-seed and seed stages in the Sub-Saharan African countries, starting with Nigeria and Kenya, as well as South Africa and Egypt. A fund of 65 billion francs CFA have been disbursed by the African Development Bank. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.